Hello and welcome to My LU Mindfulness, how to incorporate mindfulness into your life. My name is Noelle Brooks, and while I am no expert in mindfulness, it is a sort of passion of mine. Since I took a mindfulness and meditation honors course when I was a sophomore at NKU, I have found ways to incorporate mindfulness practices into my everyday life to increase my mood and my overall lifestyle. Since then, I have become a much more positive person who truly takes things as they come and is genuinely enjoying my experiences on the daily way more than I ever was before. So throughout this presentation, I'm going to teach you a little bit about what mindfulness is, and then I'll also teach you some of my favorite practices and how you can incorporate mindfulness into your life using those different practices. So some learning objectives for this LU would be to define mindfulness and understand why these practices are utilized. And to 2, recognize the variety of mindful practices and develop a plan to adopt a practice into your everyday life. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is essentially the basic human ability to be fully present and aware of their current circumstances while not feeling overly reactive or overwhelmed by outside experiences or outside stimuli. So essentially what this means is being aware of what is happening in your environment at any given time. The best way I'd like to explain this is by using a non-example. So have you guys ever been sitting there thinking about something or sitting there reading a textbook and you get to the bottom of the page and you realize, I have no idea what I just read. And you have to go back and reread it, or you have to go back and think back through an assignment or refocus yourself because you were just completely zoned out for a minute. That is essentially what it means to be mindless. While we don't want to do that, mindfulness kind of incorporates different practices and different strategies to allow us to be more mindful in our everyday lives across a wide array of tasks that we must complete. So this is just a visual representation of what I think it means to be mindful. So every day before I started practicing mindfulness, my brain felt scrambled. I felt like I was constantly in the red, on the brink of mental breakdown constantly because everything was just so jumbled up. I never felt like I truly had a good grasp of what was going on in any situation because I was so focused on everything else that I had to get done. But as I started practicing mindfulness, everything sort of started to straighten itself out. I began to take things as they came and understand that all I can do is be present in the moment and prioritize things and organize myself in a way that makes it a little bit easier for me to fully experience everything that I do on a daily basis, to the best of my ability anyway. So why is mindfulness beneficial? It can reduce stress, which is a huge, huge benefit for college students when 90% of our experiences make us stressed out, especially given the current situation with COVID-19 and all the craziness related to that. Reducing stress is a huge benefit. Another thing is to gain insight and awareness related to yourself and the environment around you. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why that got deleted, but this kind of gives you a better awareness of the things that are around you and the environments you continue to put yourself in. That way you can better plan for things and organize yourself and focus on different tasks within those spaces. A third one is to enhance our attention to others' well-being. It's really important, especially now, for us to be cognizant of what other people are going through and to be empathetic individuals. By practicing mindfulness, we're able to increase our awareness of everyone else as well as the situations we're in, so we can better be attentive to their needs as well as our own. And the fourth one is to enhance performance. So related to anything really, my schoolwork greatly improved when I started practicing mindfulness and practicing self-care in this way because I felt more centered and more able to take on more and more able to explore different things within the context of my schoolwork as in addition to my activities and extracurriculars outside of school related to work as well. So this is just a cool little picture that I found of different mindfulness practices that you could follow along with. So you could do planting if you're interested in keeping a plant alive. Unfortunately, I don't have a green thumb, so I'm not very good at that one. But keeping an open mind, doing barefoot walks, cloud gazing, breathing meditations, finding ways to relax, chatting with friends, taking a bath and practicing self-care that way, cooking, exercising, taking a walk with your dog, spending time with family. These are just some examples of ways that you can be mindful in different situations, and ways that you can take these activities and insert them in your life in a way that makes sense for you and is super fun and allows you to have a little bit of break from some of the things that may be causing you a little bit more stress. So these are some of my favorite practices. The walking meditation, which essentially includes walking around any space. So I often go on walks every other day at least, where I just take in the environment around me. I don't listen to music. I focus solely on the sounds that I hear, the things that I see, and then what I feel as I walk. I try to not let my mind wander, as hard as it can be, to different things that I may have going on, but just being fully present in the walk and observing my environment and the experience while taking inventory of how I feel in that moment. Truly helps me center myself before I jump into homework every evening or get started on things every morning. Another thing is an eating meditation. While it may seem like a fun multitasking situation to sit down and eat your dinner in front of the TV or watch YouTube or TikTok or whatever it may be while you're eating, sometimes you lose out on a great opportunity to be mindful and present in that very moment. By focusing and savoring the flavors of the food that you're eating and taking a second to appreciate the greatness of life and being able to take in taking in that substance and those nutrients and being able to function as a person through that eating is really nice. I used to sit down and watch TikTok and YouTube while I was eating my dinner every night, and I would just feel kind of fatigued afterwards. I would feel so unproductive and like I wasn't getting much done. So once I started focusing truly on actually eating and being present with that, I started to feel myself having more energy afterwards. The next thing is the 5 senses exercise. So focusing in on 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can I'm blanking for some reason. And the last one is 1 thing you can taste. So focusing in on these things and doing them as an inventory as you're sitting there in whatever situation you are in. I typically would do this in between classes or while I was waiting for a class to start in a different space. That way I became more in tune with my environment and felt like I could focus better and wouldn't be distracted by external stimuli. So that's a really good one to practice. Breath exercise, I know there are a bunch of them on YouTube that you could look into that have just different breathing exercises or doing breathing in and breathing out exercises along with your watch or whatever. I know my Apple Watch does breath exercises as well. And then my favorite one is the gratitude list exercise. So every day I sit down at the end and I write down a list of positive things that happened. It could be a big thing or it could be a small thing. It could be I got to work on time or I got to sit down and eat my breakfast before class started, or I woke up on time, or whatever it may be. Having a gratitude list helps you focus in on the things that are positive that happened in your experience throughout the day. So how can you practice mindfulness? There are many applications to ways that you can incorporate mindfulness into your everyday life. Throughout this presentation, we've talked a lot about different ways that I practice mindfulness in my daily life, as well as different other ways that you guys can incorporate mindfulness in yours. By looking into mindfulness, you are able to explore different techniques and strategies that will fit best within your time restraints and constrictions and things like that. So whatever fits best into your schedule and fits best for whatever it is you want to accomplish is what you should do. Some of the resources that I use to help me with my mindfulness is the Headspace app, the Calm app, YouTube guided meditations, and the Reflectly app. The Reflectly one is definitely one that I use every day. It kind of is a journal for me, but it's on my phone where it's a little bit easier for me to keep track of and, type things in as the day goes on or keep inventory of how I'm doing throughout the day. So at the end of the day, it's not as overwhelming to sit down and actually write down or kind of log whatever happened in that day. But yeah, those are some resources, and that was my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about mindfulness and how you can incorporate mindfulness into your life.